Hello and welcome. Welcome to Quick to Stitch Educational Channel. Today we're going to work some more on digitizing. In fact, we're going to focus on the straight stitch or the running stitch. I'm hoping that you've had an opportunity to look at your software and find your basic tools. In my previous video, we talked about the basic tools being your running stitch, your satin column stitch, and your area fill stitch. Again, we'll go over the other two more at later videos. Today we're going to focus on the straight stitch. We're going to talk some more about that. One of the things that I'd like to see happen is that you find a means of practice. And you can do this. Guess maybe I should go back to that previous screen so you've got something to look at. You can do this if you go to the internet and do a Google search for sewing practice. Sewing practice sheets. And if you look under images, you'll see that there are all these practice sheets out there that you can download to practice your sewing on your sewing machine. But we don't want them for sewing. We want to use the lines to practice our digitizing. So we're just going to kind of scan through. I had one. Oh, here it is. I liked this one. So we bring it up. We're going to right click and we're going to copy the image. We're going to lower that, open a new window, and we're going to paste that image. Oops, wrong way. We're going to paste that image onto our workspace. All right. Okay, so we're going to use this to practice our straight stitch, making straight stitches. Now, if you saw in the previous video, to make a stitch, you need to have a start node. And then every place you place your pointer, or every place you lay a node, is going to be a boundary to where your stitch is. Now, it's kind of hard to talk about boundaries with a straight stitch because it is just a straight line. But with every place that you place a node, you're going to lay in some stitches. So in this software, this is my Wacom software. I'm sorry, my Wilcom software. I'm going to pick up my straight stitch tool. And this software allows me to have a crosshair so I can, lay my stitch precisely where I want it. But I'm going to lay my first node. You see that node has now anchored my line. That's where the start is. Now if I draw my line down, I can place another node. There's my start. There's my second node. Now I can end it here, or I can move over and place another node. And another node, and another node. Now if you look, I just created an arrow. Sorry, my screen is moving on me. Now, if I generate these stitches, and in my case I press the Enter key, you can see my line of stitches. My start, then I went down, came back up and over and down again. And I created an arrow using straight stitches. Now what if I want to create a circle? Again, in my previous video, I told you that if you wanted to create a circle, you need to lay your node, and then you need to right click. If you right click and move to the left, you'll make a circle curve going to the left. If you right click and move to the right, you'll make a circle going to the right. And again, I lay my last node, I press enter, and it creates my line of stitches. And again, you can see, using my right clicks, I created a series of curves. Now, I don't want you to be confused by this, but I want to show you. I'm going to bring this up close. I'm going to bring this down to my stitches. You see, that's a stitch penetration, stitch penetration, stitch penetration. One thing I want you to remember is that to make a curve, the system, the software, is going to use a series of straight stitches, long and short straight stitches, depending on the degree of curve. We make a really tight curve, it will use smaller, shorter straight stitches to make that curve. We make a longer, more gentle curve, it will use longer straight stitches to make that curve. But if you look, this is a true straight stitch. Your sewing machine, your embroidery machine cannot create a curved stitch. It's always a series of straight stitches. So I'm going to go back out so we can see all of this again. We're going to bring back our true view so you can see all the stitching I did there. Now, the reason we have our practice sheet is just like when you were in middle school and home economics. All right, I'm still old enough to have gone to home economics in middle school. I had sewing. All through high school. I loved it. I'm going to delete those real quick. We used these practice sheets to help us get control of our machine, to help us understand the acceleration and stopping on a point, making that hard right, and moving, just the control of the machine. We're going to use them for control of laying our stitch placements. So we're going to pick up our tool. We're going to lay our first node and lock in our stitch. Then we're going to come all the way over here to the end and lay in our last stitch. We're going to press enter or escape, whatever your software requires you to do, to drop the tool. See, we drop the tool, then we have to pick it up again, lay the first node, come over to the end, drop our node, press enter to generate, escape to drop the tool. Pick up our tool, lay our node, come to the end, lay the last node, enter to generate, escape to drop the tool. I want you to find some practice sheets like this and do that. Practice. Create your nodes. Enter to generate your stitches. Escape to drop your tool. Pick up your tool. Lay your start. Enter to generate your stitches. Escape to drop your tool. Pick up your tool. Lay your first node. Right click, 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 drop the tool. Generate your stitches, drop your tool. When it comes to the curves, you're going to find that you're going to want to lay your stitches in really tight to do your curves. Okay, it's not necessary. Part of the exercise, part of the practice is getting used to the flow so you have an idea of where and how far you need to move and lay your next node to get a nice smooth transition in your curves. All right? generate your stitches, drop your tool. One other thing I want you to practice is making circles with your straight stitch. Pick up your tool, and if you start at one of the positions in the clock, the 12, the 3, the 6, or the 9, move over to your next position and click your right click for your curve. Go to the next position to your right click for your curve. Go to your next position with a right click. Oh, I'm not right clicking. Sorry. I just made a squared circle. Right click, right click, right click, right click. And we now made a perfect circle using just 4 nodes. Practice that. It can be fun. It'll come in handy later when we do our area tools. That's all we have tonight. Practice. If you have any questions, you can reach me at my email address, which should be located at the bottom of this video. And you can find me in any number of the embroidery type groups. Or you can private message me on Facebook. I will try to help in any way I can. And again, practice and have a good night. Thank you.